Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Artist Who Left podcast. I'm your host, Lilly.V. And if you're not here, if you're new here, please welcome. If you just come back, thank you so much for coming back. It's been a minute since I released an episode. And, I could sit down here and give you a thousand of excuses. But we are not going to do that today. But definitely, I think one of my goals this year is where like, okay, I want to continue with this podcast because I think that it's very important to share some of the information that and some of my experiences, like I've been through and all my career as an artist and an international performer. And one thing that I said to myself was like, I'm not gonna beat myself, and I'm gonna go to my own pace. And even though I have that idea and that conception, I was still like, uh, okay, we need to do this because the weeks keep passing and have a schedule. Sit down here and record. But the reality is like, as an artist, your schedule change every week, and you ended up, prioritizing other things and put this, things out on the side. And I'm not saying that this is not important. This is such an important project for me, and I think I will continue to do it. So yeah, here we are back, and thank you so much for being here, for watching. I have a lot of episodes already out. This is actually our second season, and I really hope that this information stay here and you guys resonate with it. And I would love to hear your opinions as well, not only from the episodes that we bring in today, but also like previous episodes when I share a lot of information. And I think that today's episodes have like all the like I mentioned in the previous episode, I think all these episodes topics have come in like a not perfect but like great order or information, so not planned, but I think it happened that way, which is amazing for me. And today's episode, we're gonna be talking about, and hold on, I need to give you the intro. So today episode is something that I, on my daily basis, I talk with friends and people who are in the same industry, and it's not like a way of whining, but sometimes people don't know, people don't understand, and people also, get so blind by what social media shows up. Um, so in that way, I want to talk about, explore between popular opinions versus hard facts about being a singer and performer. And for sure, like I said, there's a lot of misconception there. So let's break it down. Number one, and a lot of people says that fame is equal success, meaning that if you are famous, that means that you made it. In one of my previous episodes, we talk about um, your concept of success. A lot of people relate success to having a lot of money, having plenty cars. I think in that way we need to be 100% clear of what we call success, what it means success for us. Um, but at the same time, we cannot forget that, you know, based on celebrities and superstars, fame kind of lead you to different opportunities. And right now with social media, I think that it's so easy to become famous and not always become famous for the right thing. And this is something that we can talk in another time. But also fame don't necessarily equal happiness and fulfillment. And we can see, there's thousands of examples of artists who have been openly talk about uh, how fame and how all these things impact their lives negatively. And a lot of these people kind of like trouble, a lot of these people struggles with mental health problem, especially because of fame. We hear a lot of people saying that, you know, they cannot go to places because people will recognize, and it's a fact that a lot of people do not have that boundary. um they see somebody who's famous that they automatically go all the way there, you know what I mean? But I mean, I can give you a thousand of examples. Like right now, if you're watching social media and everything that's going on, we can see, Justin Bieber, which is really in a critical condition, visually. I mean, but we're not there, we don't know, we only judge for what we can see through social media. And social media is such a great tool, but at the same time can lead you, it can put you in a completely different perspective. So you have to find that real balance. And but right now there's a lot of people who have that battle between, like, am I want to be famous or I want to be successful, or how can I be both? But a lot of people associate that being famous make you already successful, and that's kind of like not a 100% fact. Moving to another another fact or popular opinion, and they associate the life artist as glamorous. And let me tell you something, being a musician always seems like, a lot of people, there's like, oh my god, your life is amazing, you always, your life is just such a, like a dream, you always like party everywhere, you have access to everything, blah blah blah. And I always tell the people, like, look, we make the party, we have to be in the party, and that's our work. As much as it's our passion and as much as is something that we love to do, we still do that for work, to pay our bills. And a lot of people don't see the sacrifices. And this goes a lot to book agents and management who hire artists. They just think that you just show up there and you do the party, but and the other side, and people in general don't realize that, you know in those for those uh 2-3 hours of glamorous content, glamorous moments, there's a lot of a sleepless night, a lot of time away from the people you love. um like, for example, in my case, um that's the price of sacrifice. A lot of people, I remember talking with some of my friends, and when I first left Cuba like 10 years ago, I got very overwhelmed because this company that I was working for, they require us to have like a certain etiquette, like a certain type of wardrobe. And obviously, sometimes a good wardrobe doesn't mean that you spend a lot of money, but if it's something that you never seen and it looks shiny and it looks like glamorous, a lot of people's like, oh my god, this person already making the back, making the money. And it's not always like that. But also, it's what you see. You will see a photo of Jennifer Lopez, and you use like, and you compare the people who are closest to you. And being away from my family is one of the hardest sacrifice I have done. I miss my niece birthdays, and I left Cuba and she was 3 years old and she about to be 14. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, you have video calls and you have the internet and you connect, but a lot of people don't see that. And yes, and now I'm here married and I have my husband, but we both have our family apart, and people just see you in every day because that's what you do, and they just associate that as like, oh my god, they just must have the best life ever, wake up and do what you love and go party. But in the reality is like, there are so many times that we cannot spend. We have to work in our own birthdays. We have to work in holidays. When some of our friends are having dinner and parties for celebrating something special, we are already working, and shall we, and it's like I say, it's no whining or complaining. It's fact about the reality of an artist, and a lot of people don't talk about that. So I thought to bring it up. And taking it to like a different level. We love artists like Adele, and one of the reasons she's been very open about that. One of the reason why we see Adele for a year and then she disappeared for another year is because she literally said, you know I do my tour, and after that, I just wanna took my time off. So I wanna spend time with my son. I wanna spend time with my husband, with my family. You know what I mean? It's a lot of energy consuming, and it's a lot of work to do, honestly. But you know what I mean? For sure, you experiment very glamorous moments. There's some gigs that are like a very luxury hotels that requires like very luxury clothes and like but those are requirements, and you get paid accordingly. And yes, you might take a photo with somebody who's famous and all that stuff, but that's not the regular. It doesn't happen every day, every night, and everything has a sacrifice. Everything has a price that you need to pay, and not just a price, money, but a price that have to do a lot with your personal life. Moving to our next point, and a lot of people believe that as a singer, you can get easy money. So easy money comes to you like, ooh, I'm a singer. You see people touring, you see people working every day, and they just look at just like, oh my God, she just go there for like 2, 3 hours and she just get a catch back. And I'm like, dude, if you are some of the person who think that just going to sing and you get easy money, that's the job, then you are in a completely wrong uh, opinion. And I hope with this episode and this explanation, you can understand a little bit deeper. There's a fact that a lot of people, musicians and performers, struggles a lot financially when it comes down to get paid the right amount of money when they're doing the gigs. And um, I have a episode, so one of the first episodes, I talk about how to negotiate your price and all that stuff. So if you haven't watched it, please go and watch it after this. And this probably can help you to, I'm not saying like, I think in some point I mentioned it like, um, if you're a struggling musician, you don't necessarily needs to be struggling to have a nice strategy to make money as an international artist, as a singer, as a performer, as a musician in general. And um, it's a reality that a lot of musicians, spend also a lot of money in their career, and they go to school and go to college, and a lot of people like go to Berkeley and these big names universities to make sure like the the education is like top notch. And a lot of people kind of think like, okay, if you go there you make the same amount of money. It doesn't really always happen that way. And a lot of places also works as a season. Some hotels, some artists have a seasons of like, this is high season where there are gigs almost every day. Then there's another lower season where you probably gig 2 to 3 times a week. um, and it happens a lot that a lot of people need to have like a second job or another job to be able to pay their bills. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. People who actually, decided to have another ways of incomes, especially right now with technology and everything has made online money and stuff like a little more accessible for other people. Um, the problem comes down, and I also open up about this in another episode. Like when you have a regular job and you just want to um, make an extra cash for a hobby. Okay, just want to watch this episode because I'm very explicit about that. But like it's not such a thing as easy money when you're a performer. No matter what, you still have to go there. And like I always say, when you show up to the gig, you are already investing time and money on yourself to make sure, like, people only see the good makeup, the nice dress, and your stage presence, which is one of the most important thing. But you know, I have to pay for my makeup, I have to pay for my clothes, I have to pay for my shoes, I have to pay for my taxi. You know what I mean? So everything, it's a cost. And it's not like easy money. There's a lot of work in your rehearsals. You know what I mean? It's not like you show up and like, oh, just gonna happen. There's a lot of work behind and sacrifices and all that stuff. So definitely easy money is not a fact. That's just a popular opinion. And looking for a different perspective is completely wrong. This is a very controversial topic because we're gonna be talking about if natural talent is enough. Listen, and I will leave the question out here because I would love to know your opinion about this. Do you think that natural talent is enough? A lot of people, and you probably have an aunt, or you probably have your mom or your best friend. He loves you so much, and it's like, oh my god, you have such a great voice. Like, you will make it for sure. You just sing from your heart, and from somebody who has a natural talent but haven't been in music school, and I'm talking personally, I can tell you for sure that this is not enough. This is just a very wrong fact. And a lot of people get a twist because not twist, a lot of people get comfortable. And getting comfortable in the music industry when you're trying to make a living from it is the baddest thing that can happen to you. One, because the music industry, it's constantly evolving and it requires more than that natural talent. There's a famous phrase that say that disciplines beat talent. And it's, if you're somebody who knowing what are your weakness, and instead of sitting down and say, well, yeah, but I'm actually really good, what would I need to do all the stuff, you know what I mean? It's so easy to get comfortable, especially when you have a lot of people telling you how good you are and how good your voice is or how amazing you play. Like, you have to evolve, you have to find a way to understand the business. You know what I mean? I met in my career, I met a lot of artists and a lot of musicians who are naturally gifted, and they have an incredible talent, but they lack undiscipline. And when I say if you're a musician and you lack in discipline, I'm not saying that you're disrespectful or you're spoiled. I'm talking about the work ethic. You know what I mean? You don't value the getting to the gig earlier, or learning your songs for the rehearsals. You know what I mean? Or understanding how negotiate your price. And I'm glad I'm bringing this up because there's a lot of elements that I already spoke in my other episodes. So you know what I mean? Yes, I think when you are naturally talent, that's a 40%, and the 60% is like how you manage that talent. And I think it can make it easy for you, because while people are trying to craft their talent, or like try like get better in a specific talent, a specific gift, you can dedicate that time to keep learning other stuff. And a lot of people underestimate the power of knowing the music business, and this is something that every artist needs to know. And just because you are a great singer, a great musician, is enough. That's a wrong fact, and that's a lot of people think that way. Even in 2025, you might think that You might think that that's not possible. I'm so sad to tell you that, yeah, it's very possible that a lot of people think that way. And in this way, I would love to bring the example of Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey is actually one of my favorite artists, and Mariah Carey, she's natural gifted. You know what I mean? She was born in a like singer family. Her mom, I think it was an opera singer, also like very famous. But she'd been openly talk about how much hours did she work, how did she move to New York to make sure that she got the deals, and she was like in the studio every day and recording and writing and you know preparing until she you know made it out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, using I think sometimes we idolize our as a fans we idolize so much the artists that we admire, but we miss a little bit of what really matters behind. A lot of people will look at Mariah Carey and it's like, um, I don't know, go to the superficial stuff and don't really study everything that she had done of her career. I think like over 30 years of career. You know what I mean? So yeah, again, natural talent is not enough. We all need to get our shit together and keep learning because learning never stops. And we cannot get stuck in our little bubble, because the way we're going to get stuck there forever. And if we're making a living, like I always say, if we're making a living for this, then we're like, what's the reason? You know what I mean? Like, we should like keep moving and keep learning and keep being better. So moving to the next point. A lot of people have this conception of all singers living a rock and roll lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like are you always in a party? This is related to the previous point. You know what I mean? But with the years and being like a full time singer and performer, I realized that whenever I don't want to work, whenever I don't have to work, I just love to stay home. Like I said in the beginning, we artists we make the party. We go to clubs. When we play in clubs, we have to be there. We play the music. We make the shows. Sometimes you have to drink, but if I don't have to go outside, I don't go outside because I like to prioritize my sleep. I like to prioritize that I want to get up every day at 7 a.m. and being able to do my workout and write my journal and have some time with my husband in the morning where we can have breakfast together and stuff, and then have all my day to record my podcast and do the things that I need to do and also do the show. Or if I just don't have to work, I stay around. So a lot of people kind of like focusing like you have to be outside, you have to be every time even working. And uh I think that thinking that artists do that all the time or they have to do that all the time is a completely wrong fact. And I don't know if it's the age or I don't know if it's like I've been doing this for a very long time where I do appreciate staying in my house. I make sure like my house cozy. That's why I love organization. I like clean so I can sit down and have my dinner and watch TV. And sometimes it's good to not do nothing. You know what I mean? So having the conversation that you have to, and in my previous episode about like I was talking about your health and the thing that you should do to take care of yourself. A lot of people, sometimes because we don't have time to hang out with friends that are also performance stuff, we decide, okay, as a way to support it, I'm just gonna go to support my friend, and you ended up drinking a couple of beers and shots and whatever, and then you're back again in the routine, and the next day your voice is like feeling miserable, and you're like, but I didn't do anything. I was like, well, you did. You should stay home, rest, and take time with yourself. That I think the older I get, the more I love and appreciate being and having time with myself and staying at home. Like Thai people say, "Sabai sabai." So I think I kind of like um, talk about a lot of stuff in this episode in the sense of you know like I said in the beginning, a lot of people, have this conception that being a singer and a performer is seems like a dreamy and a very glamorous. The fact is that there's a little bit more complex than like the reality, and it's it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of like commitment to growth, and adapt to the circumstance and the things that's happening constantly around you, not only in the industry but also like your family issues and like your social life. So in that way, I would like to say, like, like next time that you are scrolling through Instagram and um, you see me, or you see your favorite artist, just don't just don't analyze the first image of like, oh my god, she's amazing, it's so beautiful, blah blah blah. But just know that for that person to get there event, even if it's like a big stage with thousands of people, or just like a small bar with three people as an audience, that's a lot of work there. You know what I mean? And in that way, a lot of people think that because there's not a lot of people in the room, you're not worth it and you're not good enough. Let me tell you that playing for a small amount of people is harder than that playing for a stadium. Because um, how do you keep the only two people there entertained till the end? That's the real goal. That's the real success right there. You know what I mean? And um, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of experience, and that's why you cannot sleep on this. You know what I mean? I mean, sleep, take a rest, but don't sleep on growing, and don't sleep on being better, and don't sleep to getting to know what's going on in the industry, because like social media evolve, the business also evolve, and we gotta be accordingly to the times that we're living right now. So I really hope that today's episodes have been helpful and bring a little bit more clarity to not only the artists, and like I've been saying, I think that this is like a opening eye for anybody who watched this episode that is not in the music industry. But at the end of the day, we do this for our customers. We do this for the guests, for the audience that come to see us, and we just don't want. I love when the compliments that I get when I'm on a stage have not to do only for my voice or anything else. It's like when people go a little bit deeper, and I love to share my story, and people ask me and they get very curious. So I always try to bring this type of topics to them, and like I say again, not complaining, not whining, but this is our reality, and our reality needs to be shared so people don't underpay us, people don't mistreat us, people don't um, mislead us, or me, like we deserve respect, and we deserve the same energy that we put out when we sing. Standing in front of people who they are there to see you, and when you see these people, they judge you, either good or bad. It's not a hard thing. That's not a thing. So next time that you go around and you criticize or judge somebody, just be nice. And if it's not a constructive criticism, don't bring it up. I'm 100% a person who think that if an artist is 100% autocritic, they know when things is wrong, and they know that they need to keep working, or consequences happen. They don't get hired again. People talk about their not being professional enough, or whatever is the reason that the people talk about it. So you have to be able to. I mean, people always gonna talk about it, no matter how great or bad you are. People always gonna talk about it, and that's not a bad thing. And just here to encourage you to be better, to grow, to enjoy what you do, and besides the sacrifices and the things that that we have to go through as an artist. Being in this profession is one of the most fulfilled experiences that any human being can have. It's such a healing power, and we are so blessed in this world to be able to bless other people with this gift. So get there, get your thing. Thank you so much one more time for watching this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave me your opinions about these topics and you resonate with this and what is that these comments that people have told to you in the past, and or maybe I might be wrong about any other stuff. So I would love 100%, I would love to know your opinion about this topic. So I'll hope to see you in the next episode. Definitely it's gonna be a next episode. So yeah. Much love. Mwah.